Time reveals what words cannot. The longer they go without you, the louder the silence becomes. They thought they had you forever. They thought you'd wait. No matter how they treated you or how many times they ignored you, they believed you'd always be there. Just one message away, just one apology away, just one weak effort away from letting them back in. But what they never realized is that time isn't their friend, it's their worst enemy. Time doesn't erase their mistakes, it makes them impossible to ignore. The longer they go without you, the more it breaks them. Before we go deeper, do me a favor. Hit that like button, subscribe, and stay with me because what I'm about to share is going to change how you see everything. By the end of this, you'll never chase again. Hey folks, imagine this. You're in a store where everything is free. The finest watches, designer clothes, all yours for nothing. At first, it feels amazing. You grab whatever you want. No effort is required. But over time, something happens. You stop caring. You start tossing things aside. It doesn't feel special anymore because you never had to work for it. Then one day, the store closes with no warning, no explanation. You come back and the doors are locked. Suddenly, the things you once took for granted are all you can think about. That's exactly how time works. When someone loses you, at first they don't care. They assume they can replace you. But when they realize they can't just walk back into your life whenever they want, that's when it starts to eat at them. Most people believe time heals everything, that if they just stay away long enough, the feelings will fade, the regret will disappear, and they'll move on like nothing happened. But that's a lie, my friends. Time doesn't heal a loss. It makes it real. It forces people to sit with their choices, to wake up every day knowing they let something priceless slip away. And that's when it starts to hit them. The longer they go without you, the more they see what they lost. At first, they might feel free, they might enjoy the distraction. But as the days turn into weeks, as the excitement fades, and as they start to realize that no one else understands them the way you did, that's when the regret sets in. They thought they could walk away and you'd come running. They thought they had all the power. But what they never saw coming was your silence, your absence, your complete and total indifference. Let me tell you something. Nothing haunts a person more than knowing they used to have access to you and now they don't. It messes with their mind. It makes them question everything. Human nature is cruel. We don't appreciate what's always there. We only realize its value once it's gone. Right now, they're pretending, acting like they don't care, like they're fine, like losing you was no big deal. But deep down, time is working against them. Just like you once checked your phone wondering if they missed you, they're going to check theirs, hoping to see your name. But guess what? They won't. And that silence, that void where you used to be, will be the loudest thing in their life. I know what some of you are thinking. What if they really don't care? What if they never regret it? My friends, let me tell you something. People don't regret losing you when you cry for them. They don't regret it when you beg, when you explain, or when you try to make them understand. They regret it when you go silent, when they realize they can't reach you anymore, when they see you moving on, growing, thriving without them. That's when it hits them. And by the time they finally realize it, you'll be too far ahead to care. Now, say it with me. Time is my greatest weapon. Write it in the comments. Show them, show yourself, show the world that you're done chasing, done waiting, done explaining. Hit that like button, subscribe, and stay with me because what's coming next is going to make sure they never stop thinking about what they lost. Number 1, time turns indifference into regret. At first they feel nothing, then one day they feel everything. They walked away like it was nothing, like you were just another moment, just another face in the crowd, just another option they could pick up or put down whenever they felt like it. They left without hesitation, without fear. without a second thought. And you felt it instantly. The emptiness, the confusion, the pain of being discarded like you never mattered. But here's what they don't know. Time isn't their friend. They think they're fine, that life goes on, that they'll never feel the weight of losing you. But time doesn't erase what's real, it only delays it. At first, they might feel nothing. They might even feel free, like they made the right decision. But time is patient. One day when they least expect it, it will hit them like a storm they never saw coming. Hey folks, imagine this. You light a match, and for a few seconds, it burns bright. The fire is exciting, thrilling, full of energy. But in an instant, it's gone, reduced to smoke and cold ashes. Now picture a candle. It burns slow, steady, lasting for hours, lighting up a room long after the match has burned out. That's the difference between a distraction and a real connection. At first, the match seems more powerful. It flares up, demands attention, fills the space with heat, but it disappears just as fast. That's exactly what happens when they chase something temporary, thinking they can replace you. At first, they're fine. They don't feel your absence because they have distractions. Maybe it's a new person, a new routine, a new illusion that convinces them they've moved on. But the thing about illusions is they fade. The thrill of the new starts to wear off. The excitement they mistook for happiness begins to feel empty. One day, when they least expect it, they look around and realize something is missing. That's when regret creeps in. That's when they start to wonder if they made the biggest mistake of their life. And I know what's running through your mind right now. What if they never regret it? What if they really don't care? What if they never look back? My friends, let me tell you something about human nature. People don't fear losing you when they think you'll always be there. They only fear it when they realize they can't get you back. See, they left thinking they could replace you, that what you gave them, your time, your love, your energy, was easy to find somewhere else. But time teaches lessons that words never can, because no one else is you. No one else understands them the way you did. No one else matches the way you listened, the way you cared, the way you were always there, even when they didn't deserve it. And slowly, painfully, they start to see it. But by the time they do, you'll be long gone. Right now, they think they have control. They assume they can come back whenever they want, that if they ever start to miss you, all they have to do is send a message and you'll be right there waiting. But here's where they get it wrong. While time is breaking them down, time is building you up. Let's be real, this isn't easy. Walking away, staying silent, letting them sit in their own choices, it's one of the hardest things you'll ever do. Because everything in you wants to reach out to remind them of what you had, to prove that you were worth it. But let me ask you this, did they do that for you? Did they fight for you? Did they lose sleep over how they made you feel? No, they just walked away, expecting you to deal with it. So now, it's their turn. Time turns indifference into regret. The longer they go without you, the more they feel it. At first, it's just a thought, a passing memory they brush aside. Then it's curiosity, a late-night check on your social media. Then it's frustration, confusion, realization. And before they know it, it's regret, deep, aching, inescapable regret. But here's the beauty of it. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to beg. You don't have to explain. You don't have to fight for a spot in their life. Just step back and let time do what it always does. Because one day, when they realize what they lost, when they finally feel what you felt, they'll look for you, and they won't find you. Now say it with me. Time is my greatest weapon. Write it in the comments. Show them, show yourself. Show the world that you are done waiting, done explaining, done hoping. Hit that like button, subscribe, and stay with me, because what's coming next is going to make sure they never stop thinking about what they lost. Number 2, the longer they wait, the harder it gets. People don't miss what they lost right away. They miss it when they realize it's never coming back. They thought they had time. They thought they could disappear, explore their options, play their little games, and whenever they were ready, you'd still be there, just one text away, just one apology away, just one weak effort away from letting them back in. But what they never realized is that time doesn't work like that. Time doesn't freeze for anyone. While they were off being careless, assuming they could pick you up whenever they wanted, something unexpected happened. Time started working against them. At first, they feel nothing. They convince themselves they're fine. Maybe they even feel relieved, like they made the right choice. But time is ruthless, my friends. It doesn't ask for permission. It doesn't wait until they're ready. It just keeps moving. And with every passing day that you don't reach out, every moment that you don't check in, the weight of their mistake grows. The silence becomes deafening. Hey folks, imagine this. You're holding a balloon, gripping it tightly. You assume you have full control, that it'll always be there. Then, for whatever reason, you let go. At first, it doesn't seem like a big deal. The balloon just floats up, slowly, harmlessly. But then, as time passes, you realize something. You can't reach it anymore. You stretch, you jump, you try to grab it back, but it's already too far gone. That's exactly how it works when someone loses you. At first, they don't feel it, they don't panic. But as time passes and they start to realize they can't reach you anymore, that's when the fear kicks in. That's when they start to question everything. And I know what you're thinking, but what if they really don't care? What if they never regret it? My friends, let me tell you something. Regret isn't instant. It creeps in slowly, like a shadow stretching across the ground as the sun sets. It starts as a whisper, just a passing thought, a random memory they push aside. But as time goes on, as they see you moving forward without them, as they start to feel the emptiness of your absence, that whisper turns into a roar. At first, they assume they can replace you, that what you gave them, your kindness, your time, your loyalty, was easy to find somewhere else. But then reality hits. They meet new people, but no one understands them like you did. They try to distract themselves, but no one makes them feel the way you did. They scroll through old messages, realizing how much they took for granted. And suddenly, that confidence they had when they walked away turns into doubt, into regret. This is the part they weren't prepared for. They thought they had control. They assumed that if they ever started to miss you, all they had to do was send a text, and you'd come running. But now they're not so sure. The longer they wait, the harder it gets. Time doesn't make people forget. It makes them remember. They start to wonder, are they really gone? Did I actually lose them? That question eats at them more than anything else, because suddenly they don't know where they stand. They don't know if you still care. They don't know if you'd even respond if they reached out. Nothing is more terrifying to someone who took you for granted than realizing they might not have access to you anymore. Let's be real, this isn't easy. Staying silent, resisting the urge to check on them, fighting the part of you that still wants closure. It's one of the hardest things you'll ever do, because deep down, you want them to realize. You want them to regret. You want them to wake up and see what they lost. But here's the truth. Time is already handling that for you. You don't have to do anything. Just keep moving forward and let time do the talking. Because one day, when they finally realize what they lost, when they finally feel what you felt, they'll look for you and they won't find you. Now say it with me, I am no longer waiting. Write it in the comments. Show them, show yourself, show the world that you are done chasing, done hoping, done waiting. hit that like button, subscribe, and stay with me, because what's coming next is going to make sure they never stop thinking about what they lost. Number 3. The absence you give now becomes their obsession later. Nothing haunts a person more than a door that suddenly closes forever. They thought they could come and go as they pleased, that no matter how much they ignored you, pushed you aside, or treated you like an option, you'd always be there. A quick text away, a last-minute call away, a half-hearted apology away from letting them back in. They assumed your presence was permanent, that you'd always be available, always waiting, always hoping. But what they never expected, what they never saw coming, was your absence. And that, my friends, is when everything changes. At first they don't notice. They carry on like nothing happened, distracted by their own selfishness. But over time, something starts to feel off. The predictable comfort of knowing you're there, gone. The little check-ins, the late-night messages, the feeling that you'll always care, gone. Suddenly, for the first time, they realize they have no idea what's going on in your life. And that, my friends, is when the obsession begins. Hey folks, imagine this. You're in a room with an open door. You glance at it every now and then, knowing you can leave whenever you want, but you don't feel the need to. The door is open, so there's no urgency, no pressure. But then, out of nowhere, the door slams shut, locked, sealed, and suddenly it's all you can think about. You didn't care about it when it was open, but now that you can't go through it, you're desperate. Now you feel trapped. That's exactly how people feel when they lose access to you, because human nature is cruel. We don't value what's easy to get. We value what we can't have. And when they can no longer reach you, that's when they crave you the most. And I know what you might be thinking. But what if they don't care? What if they never notice? Let me tell you something, my friends. Everyone notices absence. Everyone. Maybe not right away. Maybe not in the first week. Maybe not even in the first month. But give it time. Because when you remove yourself completely, when you disappear without a trace, their mind starts to turn against them. They start replaying old conversations, wondering if they missed a sign that you were slipping away. They start checking their phone, waiting for your name to pop up like it used to. And when it doesn't, that's when the panic sets in. Because now they don't know where you stand. They don't know if you've moved on, if you've met someone new, if you even think about them at all. And that uncertainty, that unknown, it will drive them insane. Because they used to have power. They used to know that no matter how badly they treated you, you'd still care. But now, they're not so sure. The more they sit in that uncertainty, the more it eats away at them. And let's be honest, this isn't easy. Staying silent, holding back, letting them sit in their own regret. It's one of the hardest things you'll ever do. Because deep down, you want to reach out. You want to remind them of what they lost. You want to make them see that you were worth it. But let me ask you this. When they ignored you, when they took you for granted, did they feel the need to explain themselves? Did they lose sleep over how they made you feel? No, they expected you to deal with it. So now it's their turn. Your absence is a mirror. The longer they go without you, the clearer it becomes. They start to see their own mistakes. They start to feel the weight of their own actions. They start to realize that maybe, just maybe, they lost something real. And by the time they're ready to admit it, you'll be too far ahead to even care. Now say it with me. My absence is my power. Write it in the comments. Show them, show yourself, show the world that you are done being taken for granted, done waiting, done explaining. Hit that like button, subscribe, and stay with me, because what's coming next is going to make sure they never stop thinking about what they lost. Number 4, time exposes the truth they tried to ignore. They didn't care while they had you, but time will force them to see what they lost. Right now, they're pretending, acting like they don't care, like losing you was no big deal. They walk around with a smile, posting as if they're living their best life, making it seem like they've moved on without a second thought. But here's the thing about time. It doesn't let anyone escape the truth. They can distract themselves all they want, but eventually the distractions run out, the excitement fades, the silence creeps in. And when that happens, when the noise dies down, they're left with nothing but their own choices. Trust me, my friends, that's when the truth starts to hurt. At first, they convince themselves they made the right decision. They tell themselves you were too much or not enough, or that someone else will come along and make them forget. But time doesn't work that way. Time doesn't erase real connections. It magnifies them. What they once dismissed, what they once took for granted, what they thought they could live without, all of it comes rushing back. And when it does, it doesn't just tap them on the shoulder, it hits them like a freight train. Hey folks, imagine this. You buy a cheap umbrella on a sunny day. You don't think much about it, maybe even leave it behind somewhere. It didn't seem important at the time. But then a storm rolls in, the rain starts pouring, the wind howls, and suddenly you realize you don't have that umbrella anymore. Now it's all you can think about. Now you wish you hadn't been so careless. That's exactly how people feel when they lose someone who truly cared. When life is easy, they don't notice your worth. But when the storms hit, that's when they feel the loss. And I know what you're thinking. But what if they never feel it? What if they move on like I never existed? My friends, let me tell you something. No one truly moves on from a good thing. They might replace you temporarily. They might distract themselves. They might convince themselves they're fine. But deep down, the truth sits there, waiting. Because no matter how hard they try to ignore it, time will remind them. See, they thought they could just brush you aside, that life would be just as good without you. But over time, they start to see the difference. They start to compare the way you listened, the way you cared, the way you made them feel like they mattered. That's not something they'll find everywhere. Little by little, those memories they tried to push away start creeping back in. The late-night talks, the way you understood them when no one else did, the kindness you showed even when they didn't deserve it. And that's when they realize they lost something real. But here's the kicker. By the time they fully understand what they had, it's too late. Time doesn't just expose the truth to them, it changes you. While they were busy pretending not to care, you were healing. While they were out there wasting time, you were growing. And when they finally look back, hoping for another chance, they'll realize they're looking at someone they can never have again. And let's be honest, this isn't easy. Watching them act like they don't care, seeing them live their life as if you never mattered, it's enough to make you question everything. But that's the trick. They want you to think they're unaffected. They want you to doubt your worth, to feel like you meant nothing. But time will prove otherwise. Time will show them the truth. Because at the end of the day, people don't regret losing someone who begged them to stay. They regret losing someone who stopped waiting. And when they finally realize the weight of their own mistakes, when they finally see the truth they tried so hard to ignore, they'll look for you. But you won't be there. Now say it with me. Time reveals everything. Write it in the comments. Show them. Show yourself. Show the world that you are done waiting, done proving, done hoping. Hit that like button, subscribe, and stay with me, because what's coming next is going to make sure they never stop thinking about what they lost. Number 5. They start reaching out when they feel the coldness. They thought they had time until time ran out. They thought they could walk away, that you'd wait, that no matter how long they stayed silent, you'd still be there, just one text away. They believed they had control, that the door would always be open, that they could leave, enjoy themselves, and when they were done, they could slip back into your life like nothing happened. But time doesn't wait. When they finally realize what they lost, when they finally feel the coldness of your absence, that's when they reach out. At first, it's small, a simple, "Hey," a "How have you been?" Maybe even a comment on your post, just to see if you'll notice. But don't be fooled, my friends. They're not just reaching out. They're testing. They're checking if they still have access to you, if you still care, if they still have control. And your response? That's where the power lies. Because the moment you reply, the moment you give them even a little of your energy, you erase all their regret. You confirm what they were hoping for, that you're still there. And just like that, they stop feeling the loss. Hey folks, imagine this. You have a vending machine. Every time you press a button, out comes exactly what you want. Your favorite snack, your favorite drink, instant satisfaction. You don't think about it. You don't appreciate it because it's always there. But one day, you press the button and nothing happens. No snack, no response, just silence. At first you tap it a few times, maybe even shake it. But eventually, you realize it's broken. It's gone. Suddenly, that vending machine you never valued before is the only thing on your mind. That's exactly what happens when you stop giving them the attention they took for granted. They expect you to reply. They expect you to be excited. They expect to have the same power over you they always did. But when they're met with nothing, when they feel the same coldness they once gave you, that's when they truly start to suffer. And I know what's going through your mind. But what if they really miss me? What if this time is different? My friends, let me be real with you. If they truly missed you, they wouldn't reach out with a lazy "hey." They wouldn't test the waters with weak, half-hearted messages. They would show up fully. They would apologize. They would make it clear that they value you. But they don't. They just want to know if you're still available. That's how people work. They don't miss you because they love you. They miss you because they lost control. They're not reaching out because they suddenly realized your worth. No, they're reaching out because they're starting to feel the emptiness. The silence is getting to them. They scroll through their phone, they check your page, they replay old conversations, and suddenly they realize you're not there anymore. And that's what terrifies them the most. This is where most people fail. They think, maybe this is my chance. Maybe this is when they finally realize. They think, maybe if I just respond, we can fix things. But my friends, that's the trap. The second you respond, you relieve them of their regret. You let them know they still have access to you. And once they get that confirmation, they lose the fear of losing you. They go right back to their old ways, comfortable knowing that you're still there. But when you don't respond, when you let them sit in the silence, that's when the real suffering begins. Because now they don't know where they stand. They don't know if you've moved on. They don't know if they still matter to you. And that uncertainty, that unknown, that's what eats away at them. That's when they start to panic. Let's be real, this isn't easy. It takes strength to hold back, to not give in, to resist the urge to say, "I miss you too." Because part of you still wants them to realize, part of you wants to believe they finally get it. But you don't need words to make them see the truth. Your silence is already speaking louder than anything you could ever say. And one day, when they finally understand what they threw away, when they finally realize they lost something irreplaceable, they'll look for you, and they won't find you. Now say it with me. I am no longer available. Write it in the comments. Show them, show yourself, show the world that you are done waiting, done hoping, done playing their games. Hit that like button, subscribe, and stay with me because what's coming next is going to make sure they never stop thinking about what they lost. Number 6. Silence does what words never could. You don't need to explain your absence. Let time do the talking. You think they need to hear it, that if you could just explain how much they hurt you, they'd finally understand. That if you could lay it all out, tell them every reason why they broke you, they'd find all regret. But here's the truth, my friends. Words don't change people. Pain does. And the pain of your absence, the pain of knowing they don't have access to you anymore, that's something they can't ignore. You've spent so much time trying to be understood, trying to get them to see your worth. But let me ask you something. When they ignored you, when they treated you like an afterthought, when they made you question your own value, did they stop to explain themselves? No. They just expected you to deal with it. So why do you feel the need to give them something they never gave you? Before we go deeper, do me a favor. Hit that like button, subscribe, and stay with me, because what I'm about to share is going to make sure you never waste another second trying to prove your worth. Hey folks, imagine this. You're watching a movie, and right when you reach the most important part, the screen goes black. No warning, no explanation, just silence. You sit there waiting, thinking maybe the scene will come back, maybe there's more. But nothing happens. Suddenly, that missing scene becomes the only thing you can think about. That's exactly how silence works when someone takes you for granted. See, when you argue, when you explain, when you try to prove why you mattered, you give them an easy way out. You give them closure. They get to walk away knowing exactly how you feel, knowing they still had an impact, knowing they still mattered. But when you disappear, when you walk away without a word, that's when it starts to mess with their mind. Because now they don't know. They don't know if you're angry, if you're hurt, if you still care, or if you've already forgotten them. Nothing eats at a person more than the unknown. And I know what you're thinking. But if I don't say anything, won't they think I never cared? My friends, let me tell you something. If they didn't see your worth while you were giving them everything, they won't suddenly realize it because of your words. The only thing that makes people regret is the moment they realize they lost something they can never get back. Right now you feel like you need closure, like you need them to understand before you can move on. But here's the hard truth. Closure isn't something they give you. It's something you give yourself. The second you stop explaining, the second you stop trying to make them see, is the second you take your power back. And this won't be easy. Everything in you will want to reach out, to send one last message, to make sure they know what they did. But let me ask you, did explaining ever change anything in the past? Did pouring your heart out ever make them treat you better? No, it just gave them another chance to dismiss you. So now, let silence do what words never could. Let them sit in the emptiness where you used to be. Let them wonder. Let them overthink. Let them feel the absence that they never thought they'd have to face. And trust me, my friends, they will feel it. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but one day, when they least expect it, it will hit them like a wave they can't escape. And by the time they realize it, you'll be too far ahead to care. Now say it with me. My silence is my power. Write it in the comments. Show them, show yourself. Show the world that you are done explaining, done proving, done waiting. Hit that like button, subscribe, and stay with me, because what's coming next is going to make sure they never stop thinking about what they lost. Number 7, the more you grow, the more they realize what they lost. Nothing hurts more than seeing someone thrive after you left them. They expected you to fall apart. They thought leaving you, ignoring you, replacing you would break you, that you'd sit in sadness, drowning in regret, waiting for the day they'd come back. They thought you'd be stuck, replaying memories, questioning your worth, hoping for another chance. But what they never saw coming, what truly makes them suffer, is seeing you rise, seeing you glow, seeing you become the kind of person they can never have again. At first, they feel nothing. Maybe they even feel relieved, like they made the right choice. But time has a way of revealing the truth, my friends, because the more time passes, the more they start to see what they lost. And nothing is more painful than watching someone they once had become someone they can never have again. Hey folks, imagine this. A person walks past an old dusty store every day. It's nothing special, nothing worth stopping for. One day, they decide to ignore it completely, thinking it has no value. But months later, they walk by again, and it's unrecognizable. The doors are sleek, the lights are bright, the place is booming with people who saw its worth before they did. Suddenly, they want in. Suddenly, they realize what they overlooked. But now, there's a velvet rope, a price they can't afford. That's exactly what happens when you grow. At first, they don't notice. They think you're still the same, still waiting, still hoping. But as time moves forward, as you become stronger, as you start glowing in a way they never expected, that's when it starts to eat at them. Because they didn't think you'd be fine without them. They didn't think you'd move on. They never thought they'd have to look at you and realize they're no longer good enough for you. And I know what you're thinking, but what if they don't care? What if they never look back? My friends, let me tell you something. People don't regret losing you the moment they leave. They regret it the moment they realize they can't come back. See, they thought they had power. They assumed that if they ever changed their mind, you'd still be there. But time has a cruel way of proving people wrong. Because while they were busy playing games, wasting time, assuming you'd always be an option, you were busy becoming the best version of yourself. And now, they don't even recognize the person you've become. Let's be real, this isn't easy. Growth hurts, change is uncomfortable. There will be days when you wonder if they'll ever regret it, if they'll ever see what they lost, if they'll ever come back. But listen to me, my friends, this isn't about them. This is about you. About becoming someone so focused on your own success, your own happiness, your own life, that by the time they realize what they lost, you won't even care. Because one day, they will look for you. They will wonder. They will regret. But by then, you'll be too far ahead to even notice. Now say it with me. I am leveling up for myself, not for them. Write it in the comments. Show them. Show yourself. Show the world that you are done waiting, done proving, done hoping. Hit that like button, subscribe, and stay with me because what's coming next is going to make sure they never stop thinking about what they lost. Number 8. By the time they realize, you'll be too far ahead. One day, they'll look for you, and they won't find you. They thought they had time. They thought they could take you for granted, disappear for a while, explore their options. And then, when they were ready, come back like nothing ever happened. They assumed life would pause for them, that no matter how long they waited, you'd still be standing in the same place, waiting for them to return. But what they never saw coming, what they never prepared for, was the moment they would look for you and realize you're gone. At first, they won't notice. They'll go about their days, keeping you in the back of their mind like a song they think they'll always remember. They might even convince themselves they don't need you, that they can move on without a second thought. But time is cruel, my friend, because time doesn't just make them miss you. It makes them realize they'll never have you again. Hey folks, imagine this. You're walking through a field and you see a beautiful butterfly resting on a flower. It's right there in front of you, easy to reach, easy to admire. But you don't appreciate it. You assume it'll always be there, that you can come back and see it whenever you want. Then one day, you return, and it's gone. No sign of it, no way to bring it back. Suddenly, that butterfly, the one you ignored, the one you thought you could always find again, becomes the only thing you can think about. That's exactly what happens when someone realizes they lost you. They assume they have all the time in the world until they don't. And I know what you're thinking, but what if they never realize? What if they never regret it? My friends, let me tell you something. People don't regret losing you when you beg them to come back. They don't regret it when you explain how much they hurt you. No, they regret it when they finally wake up and see that you've moved on without them. When they realize that the door they once walked through so easily is locked. At first, they'll pretend it doesn't bother them. They'll keep scrolling through life like nothing changed. But then, out of nowhere, it hits. Maybe it's a song that reminds them of you. Maybe it's a random thought at 2 a.m. Maybe they see you thriving, smiling, looking better than ever. And suddenly they feel it, that sinking feeling, that slow creeping regret that eats at them, whispering, "You lost something you can never get back." And here's where it gets worse for them. Because regret isn't just about missing you, it's about knowing they can't undo it. They can't rewind time. They can't take back the moments they ignored you, the times they treated you like an afterthought. They can't change the fact that while they were out there wasting time, you were moving forward, growing, becoming someone they can't reach anymore. But by the time they realize it, you'll be too far ahead, too focused on your future, too busy living the life they thought you'd never find without them. And let's be honest, this isn't easy. It's hard to let go, hard to walk away, to stop checking, to resist the urge to see if they regret it yet. Because deep down, you want them to see what they lost. You want them to wake up and feel the weight of their own mistakes. But here's the truth. Time is already taking care of that for you. You don't need to prove anything. You don't need to wait for them to figure it out. Just keep going, keep rising, keep leveling up. Because one day when they finally see what they lost, when they finally feel what you felt, they'll reach for you, and you won't be there. Now say it with me. I am already ahead. Write it in the comments. Show them, show yourself, show the world that you are done waiting, done looking back, done slowing down. Hit that like button, subscribe, and stay with me, because what's coming next is going to make sure they never stop thinking about what they lost. So, my friends, time is the greatest teacher. It shows them what they refuse to see, makes them feel what they once ignored. And by the time they realize the truth, you'll be too far ahead to care. Stay strong, stay focused, and never wait for someone who thought you were replaceable. If they lost you, that's on them. Now keep moving forward. Hit that like button, subscribe, and share this with someone who needs to hear it. And I will see you in the next video. Time reveals the truths that often go unnoticed, showing the depth of feelings we may have overlooked. Remember, your journey is unique and your growth is powerful. As you continue to evolve, never forget the value you hold within yourself. Let your experiences shape you, but never allow them to define you. Embrace the lessons that time teaches, and trust that every step you take brings you closer to the life you deserve. Keep shining, keep thriving, and always know that you are worthy of love and respect. Don't settle for anything less than what you deserve. Let time be your ally, guiding you towards the brightest future ahead. Stay strong, stay focused, and always prioritize your own happiness. You've got this. Now, let's keep moving forward together.